Hey crafters, welcome back to TechCraft Craft Finals channel. It's so great to have you with us and we're excited for another crafting experience. Today I'm going to be taking this dollar store picture frame, very simple design, adding some vinyl to it and showing you how I create a to-do list with a picture frame that will be able to sit upright on my desk. So let's get crafting. So over in Cricut Design Space, I'm going to start with a rectangle that's the size of my picture frame. That way I know the size of the canvas that I'm working with and it gives me a good visual representation. I'm then going to go find some images that I like in the image library for list functions. I really like this to-do list, but I want it to have more lines. So I'm going to duplicate it, and then with the second image, I'll use the contour feature to take off the letters so that I just have the extra lines. I'll then weld it all together so that it prints as one solid image. I love the idea of using this weekly overview list to create a meal plan for myself. And once I find a font that I like, I'm going to also weld or attach this together so that it prints as one solid image. I'm then going to be resizing these images because I'm using a Cricut Joy. There are certain parameters and size restrictions, so I need to make sure that I'm fitting within those. I've got my piggy pink and my livable green vinyls from Tech Wrap, and I'm just going to cut these down to size using a paper cutter and making sure that I'm cutting enough material for each of the images that I'm planning to cut. I'm also making sure that I'm removing the protective layer on the vinyl before I get them cut by my machine, as that would probably screw up the cutting and be a huge weeding problem. I'll then place my vinyl down on my cutting mats, making sure that everything is the right size. If I need to trim off a few pieces, I certainly can do that as well. I'll repeat this process for the pink vinyl, making sure that I'm cutting enough but not too much material. And while I'm doing this, I already have my green vinyl being cut in my Cricut Joy machine. These vinyls from Tech Wrap are so easy to work with. They're really beginner friendly, and I really love how cleanly that they cut with a paper cutter as well. I'll then place my pink vinyl on my next mat and have this all ready to go by the time that the green vinyl is done being cut. Making sure to remove that protective film so that doesn't get cut with the vinyl as well. I'm using the premium vinyl setting with more pressure. I just find that that gets a really clean cut that's super easy to weed, but it doesn't go through the backing, which is also really helpful. The Cricut makes fast work of this, and then it's just time for weeding. I'm using this weeding pen that I got from Tech Wrap. It's really helpful, and I love that it's really ergonomic to fit in my hand and makes weeding really simple. I'm simply going to take up each of these pieces of excess, and look at how simple it is to keep that wording down on the page. This is where utilizing that more pressure setting comes into play, where the vinyl gets cut really cleanly around these letters. I'll then weed the pieces out of the meal plan letters, and then I will remove it from the mat and move on to weeding the pink vinyl. The pink vinyl with our to-do list might be a little bit more precarious with these really thin lines and dots, so I'm going to take it nice and slow and make sure that I'm not pulling anything too quickly. I will then weed out the different pieces of the letters in to-do list, and then I'm ready for transfer tape. I'm going to visualize how large of pieces of transfer tape that I need and cut it out of the transfer tape, and then remove it from the backing to be able to place on my image. I love the visibility that Tech Wrap transfer tape gives me to be able to see my image through the transfer tape as I go to move it off of the backing and onto my material. I'm going to utilize my squeegee tool to make sure that there are no bubbles and that the transfer tape is laying really flat against the vinyl. I'll then also use my squeegee tool across the back, again ensuring that the backing is going to pull off of the vinyl and that the vinyl will stick to the transfer tape. I'll utilize my squeegee as I'm pulling that backing off, making sure that it's releasing off of every single letter, every single line, and doing absolutely no harm to these images that I've cut with my vinyl. Slow and steady is definitely the winner of this game, making sure that all of the letters are sticking to the transfer tape and not sticking to the backing whatsoever. Once that's finished up, I'm ready to place this onto my picture frame. I'm going to use a right alignment with our meal plan list and try to center it vertically as best I can, get it on straight, and then lay it down smoothly. I'll utilize my squeegee tool again, making sure that my vinyl is sticking to the picture frame and releasing from the transfer tape. I'll be very careful as I peel back that transfer tape, making sure that everything is nice and snug onto the picture frame itself. This is really coming off so well, and look at that green color. It's just really popping and I'm absolutely obsessed. Again, slow and steady wins the race, but now it's time to move on to our to-do list with our pink vinyl. I'm going to use my transfer tape again to be able to grab all of this vinyl off of the backing and be able to lay it down in perfect alignment onto the picture frame. I'm going to use the transfer tape, lay it on very cleanly, utilize that squeegee tool to make sure there are no bubbles or anything else that would cause issues with transferring this, and then again utilizing that squeegee tool as I'm pulling off the backing, making sure that all of the vinyl is sticking to the transfer tape and releasing from the backing. If there are any issues like this one right here, then I'm just simply going to use the squeegee tool to give more pressure, making sure that things are sticking to the transfer tape, and again going very slow as much as I can, making sure that these thin little lines are really sticking well to the transfer tape and releasing from the back, making sure that I'm visualizing everything as it's being released off the backing and not sticking as well. I'll make short work of this, and then it's time for the fun part of being able to place it onto the picture frame. I'm really loving the combination of the pink and the green together. I think it just really works so well together. So now here we go with placing the to-do list onto the board, and you'll notice that I do have quite a bit of an issue where the static electricity between the transfer tape and the picture frame just kind of adhere to each other, and you just sometimes have to go with it. You can kind of make changes and fix these issues as you go along, and you're peeling up the transfer tape. I'll simply peel up the lines that seem to be a little bit crooked and straighten them out. Smooth them out a little bit. It's really not a big deal, and you won't be able to tell in the final product at all. You can utilize some weeding tools if you'd like, or the squeegee tool as well. I'm simply just going to lift up the transfer tape and be able to smooth out the rest of the lines this way, except for this little one here, and I'll just take the same method that I did above to be able to smooth it out. The rest of this comes off really clean, and you can't even tell that we had an issue at all. This is a dry erase surface on the picture frame, which is really helpful for being able to create my to-do list and my meal plan, be able to erase it whenever I'm done or I've finished a task or it's a new week to be able to meal plan for. I've got my dry erase markers, and I'm simply going to be able to add to my to-do list whenever something pops up and be able to meal plan really easily. I love that this can stand up on my desk. I can even insert some colorful cardstock, or I could even make a collage of pictures to be able to put in the picture frame as I have my to-do list on the picture frame. And the dry erase surface gives me a really workable surface that I can use over and over again. You really could create any kind of list on this that you need, from a weekly overview to even a grocery shopping list. Make it fit whatever you need in your life to keep you on track. And there you have it. We've got our to-do list. We've got our meal plan list. I love that because of the stand, it'll sit right on my desk, and I'll be able to wipe it clean whenever I've completed a task or when it's a new week to start meal planning for. This has been such a fun and easy craft. I highly recommend this. You could really turn this into any kind of list that you need. If you make this craft, make sure you let us know in the comments how you added it and made it your own.